The cats are away, so the mice will play.
Nice.
Welcome back to another episode of Board Game Breakfast live, coming to your ears, room, or
place,
you
thing.
may be. All right, I'm Sam Healy.
I'm Roy Candy.
And of course, Tom and Zee are currently in Iceland.
For sure.
Getting their Viking on, I guess. And
At the Midgard convention, right?
Midgard convention, that's correct. So they are there, so we are manning the towers.
Yep.
Here in Board Game Breakfast. So we do have some news for you, but we don't have any War Game or Kickstarter news today because for technical difficulties, those were not able to get here. So, sorry. No War Game news today.
Why is that, Paul?
Shut up!
Oh, okay. Let's get to the news.
All right, so here we go. The news for September 12th, 2019. All right, so we have, first up, Hellboy the board game. Mantic Games will release Hellboy the Wild Hunt. It is a new expansion coming out for Hellboy the board game this month. That's harder to say than it actually feels like. Hellboy the board game.
The Wild Hunt expansion.
Yes. So it's going to include one Enraged Hellboy hero miniature, one Alice backup agent miniature, one Eligo. I guess I'm not that into Hellboy.
I'm about to say, as far as anybody in the studio, I'm pretty sure you're the biggest fan of Hellboy out of all of us. So
I don't know.
We said you liked it, right?
No, I do. I mean, the extent of that, I haven't read any of the comic books. I've just watched the movies.
Watch the movies, gotcha.
So there's 12 enemy miniatures, 2 agent cards, 5 enemy cards, 40 case file cards, and 19 Doom cards, 13 encounter cards, 4 boss behavior cards, and 7 scenery furniture tokens, and 7 double-sided game tiles.
Nice.
So there you go.
So more for your Hellboy game.
Yep. Trogdor.
Yes.
All right. Homestar Runner will release Trogdor the board game, a cooperative board game, into trade in October.
I'm actually really excited about this. I didn't know.
Played this,
I actually did the Kickstarter, and they were saying that they weren't sure if the Kickstarter was actually going to be like produced and go out to like game stores and things like this. So I guess it's an announcement that they're deciding to take the Kickstarter and make it more widely available.
Going into trade in October. So I guess does that mean it's going to stores?
Yeah. So I guess it's going to game stores, and you'll be able to buy it at conventions and things like that. Because I know they fulfilled all of their backing. I got my copy of it. But it's a cool little dragon game where you're running around burning up stuff, and if you're a fan of Homestar Runner, the web series, which I grew up with, then you'll get this. It's all full of like the memes basically from that show.
So they take turns controlling Trogdor. It's a cooperative game, and it takes place in the land of peasantry, where players become the keepers of Trogdor.
Right.
All right. So on your turn, you can use action points to bestow action and item cards on Trogdor so that he can more optimally burn obstacles, eat peasants, and flip tiles.
Trogdor doesn't just burn; he burninates.
Yes, I did read that word earlier. He burninates. Here's a couple of pictures on what the game is supposed to look like. The standees.
Yeah, this is definitely from the prototype.
Yeah.
This is what my version looks like. They have a meeple version, and I know they had like a deluxe version that actually comes with plastic miniatures. But I don't know which version is exactly coming to retail unless they say. But I'm guessing it's probably like the meeple wooden version that's coming to retail.
Yeah, it doesn't say. I would imagine Meeple versions coming to retail as well, and the miniatures are probably reserved for the Kickstarter. But it doesn't say what version is coming into trade. It's just that the board game is going to come into trade in October. So look for that. Next, Terra Mystica, or sorry, Terra Mystica. I always, whenever I say that word, I always think tiara.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know.
I mean, that's how the
Mystica.
game works, right? You have to get the right tiara to terraform the land so that your factions can spread out.
Yes, have some. All right, so anyway, there's a expansion here called Merchants of the Seas. They've announced that it will release this autumn, so that is in the fall. It expands the original game by giving players a way to use the waterways of the game board to aid in their expansion. So you can build a shipyard, and then you can use that shipyard to move your ships, to build ships, and then use those ships to move through the water areas.
I know a lot of people like Terra Mystica, and hopefully this will help breathe fresh life into it for them. So.
Yep, a lot of people do like Terra Mystica.
You are not among them.
I am not among them.
I haven't actually had a chance to play it, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I was not done. It also includes 2 maps for players, two new maps rather, and then new starting victory point tables for all existing maps, and that's about it.
Lots of stuff.
So, yeah, new stuff for Terra Mystica. So there you have it. Ticket to Ride Japan. This is the Map Collection Volume 7. It was announced by Days of Wonder, and it also has Italy on the other side.
That's awesome.
So you can take a look at those 2 maps right here. Race to the railway platform and queue up that Beatles song. Days of Wonder announced today a new map collection for its venerable Ticket to Ride franchise. It comes with an oversized double-sided board, the longest of all the map tiles so far. I guess it had to be long because you literally picked 2 rectangular, I guess because they shaped countries to do that. So that's cool. Each map comes with its own twist of the classic Ticket to Ride rules. On the Japan map, a cooperative element is introduced, bringing with it new challenges for players. Certain routes are reserved only for high-speed bullet trains, and once completed, all players may use them to fulfill their destination tickets. However, the player who contributes the most to the construction of the bullet train receives a larger bonus at the game's end.
Oh, interesting.
On the Italy map, a new ferry type is available, as well as the map being divided into regions. Players who connect this to cities in each of the regions will score bonus points at the end of the game. Oh, that's almost like Ticket to Ride London, where London is split up into different regions, and you get bonus points for doing that too. So,
slight area control in there.
Yeah, that's cool. So it comes with 16 bullet train miniatures, 50 plus destination card decks, separate destination card decks, and then progression markers, 10 fairy cards, and rule books for each of the maps. So it's be available at Essen Spiel, and then it will be released more widely in Europe in November, and then in North America by January.
Nice.
So there you have it. That's cool. Looking forward to that map series.
Yeah, I like those bullet trains too.
This one, North Star Studios has announced Paint the Roses, designed by Ben Goldman, who was also on the design team behind North Star's Oceans. Is Oceans the one I'm thinking about? Is Oceans the one? I don't think it is. No. Anyway, sorry, thinking out loud. See, Paint the Roses, which was originally web published, is for 2 to 5 players, ages 11 and up, and it takes less than an hour. It's a cooperative deduction game with a Wonderland theme. The players are gardeners in the Queen of Hearts garden, attempting to figure out how to decorate the Queen's garden, but she doesn't really care. All the Queen cares about is beheading people. So the players must avoid losing their heads by figuring out what the Queen wants. The designer is working on tweaks to the game where the players will be able to solicit help from the White Rabbit, Mad Hatter, or Cheshire Cat to escape the castle.
It looks interesting. I like cooperative games. And I like deduction games, so it'll be cool to see a cooperative deduction game and hopefully not get beheaded in the process.
Yeah, really. That sounds like a dangerous work environment. All right, Eternal Chronicles of the Throne. Renegade announces this. Paul Dennen is following up Clank with Eternal Chronicles of the Throne, also being published by Renegade Game Studios in conjunction with Direwolf Digital. We actually played this on a testing
Tuesday.
Yeah, Zee and Tom were playing it in a 3-player game. Tom got ousted about halfway through, and then Zee and I slogged through the rest of it. But you can take a look at it. It says that it's 30 to 45 minutes. Maybe. Possibly, yeah. We could possibly see that in a 2-player game, yeah? Yeah. So they are recruiting allies, attacking their enemies, researching spells, building up their defenses, acquiring relics. Basically, you're just trying to knock out your opponent before they knock you out.
Yeah, for sure.
So that is Eternal Chronicles of the Throne. Check that out. Some news for Star Wars X-Wing. X-Wing is getting a cosmetic upgrade to its damage decks. So you are going to be able to not just do damage, but it actually gives more information on where.
Like you have the locations and different things like that. Like, oh, you got hit there, you got direct hitted there, or something like that. I guess it adds more theme, right?
Yeah, so the decks basically have the same in-game content as the standard damage decks, but the new releases have 2 cosmetic upgrades. First, it's a unique damage deck available for each of the game's 7 factions, and each deck has a faction-specific card back with faction-specific artwork illustrating where the ship has taken damage. So, for example, the damage cards for the Resistance show an X-Wing, or in this particular instance, a Y-Wing, and the damage cards for the Galactic Empire show a TIE Interceptor. Wait a minute. That is definitely a Y-Wing, but it says maybe there's multiple ships in there. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Second of all, the faction-specific decks are larger than the damage decks in the core set. So they are FFG, LCG size cards.
Which are the same as every other
poker size,
magic size, poker size cards.
So they aren't going to be the mini cards that come in the core set. They're a larger deck. I like larger cards. So
gotcha.
That's good.
There you go.
All right, so that's new cosmetic upgrade damage decks for X-Wing. All right, Chrono Corsairs. This is coming from Tasty Mitchell's Games, Tasty Mitchell Games TMG, designed by John Brieger and Vincent Herzl. It's a game for 2 to 5 players, and they are locked in time. Players are pirates on the cursed shores of Ouroboros Island, where a time storm causes them to live the same day over and over again until the time storm finally breaks. So this is like
Groundhog Day, the board game,
I guess, for pirates. Groundhog Day for pirates. There you go. The game is played over a series of loops where players will select plans at the beginning of each loop to move their crew around the island and collecting treasure along the way. The same events will keep happening. So players will learn what the repeating day holds as the game unfolds. Once the time storm subsides, the game is over, and the new player with the most treasure wins the game.
That's super interesting. Like, I always like time travel in games, but I feel like it's hard to pull off, you know?
Yeah.
So it'll be cool to see how they make it interesting in this game, so.
Yeah, I think they did a Groundhog Day marathon, and they were like, after like the 4th time through.
What about that?
What if we put
pirates
on an island?
Grabbing treasure.
Doing what Bill Murray's doing. We could do that. That's cool. All right, so a 2-player trick-taking game, right? Let's call it Fox in the Forest Duet. No, actually, this adds a cooperative element to the 2-player trick-taking game. So basically, all players, both players, will attempt to move through the forest by playing tricks and collecting all the gems to win the game while avoiding getting lost among... And this popped up for no reason. I'm just going to close that. Both players will attempt to move through the forest by playing tricks, collecting gems to win the game, while avoiding getting lost along their journey. Players can use the special abilities of the characters to help each other through the forest. So it's basically the 2-player trick-taking game, but it's cooperative.
Nice.
Interesting. All right, and now we have Yellow. Is going to release Ninja Academy and Double Rumble this September. 2 new games coming to retailers in September. The first is Ninja Academy, designed by Antoine Boza and Corentin Lebrat and Ludovic Montblanc, and Theo Riviere. I probably murdered some of those games, and some of those names. I apologize. So it's pits 3 to 5 players against one another in a wide variety of dexterity challenges. Challenges are decided at random and alternate between tests for the whole group or a duel between 2 players. There's really a quite assortment of mini games as per the game's description. You can be the first player to place a ninja meeple on each of your fingertips. Try to guess how many ninjas your opponent put in the box just by shaking it. Be the quickest to assemble 5 wood logs vertically. So this is like a minute to win it?
Sort of.
That's what it sounds like. I mean, at least
Minute
2
to
of
win
those.
it with ninjas.
Yeah. Be strong enough to collect points depending on your score. Also, be strategic enough to bet on the winner of each duel. All right, that's a cool little twist. The second new release is for their 8-bit box expansion, or their 8-bit box module, I guess. Another module for that. Double Rumble. Designed by the same team as Ninja Academy. This game emulates the NES era side-scrolling beat-em-ups like River City Ransom. It is playable solo or cooperative with a friend. All right.
Or Double Dragon, because it looks very much like Double Dragon.
Yeah, very much Double Dragon. Yeah, Double Rumble. Let's see here. You can get more information about both of these releases on Yellow's website in the coming weeks, and their catalog updates, and watch out for their retail release early September. So I guess this is part of their early release, but
gotcha.
We'll see. All right, next, Conspiracy in the Abyss universe. All right, so Bombix releases Abyss, Leviathan, and Conspiracy Abyss universe card game. So you have card games that are based upon that push your luck game of Abyss. Leviathan replaces the accumulating threat track from the original card game with a border board filled with tremendous monsters. Who writes these things? It's like, let's put all the really hard to say words together.
Tremendously terrible, turbulent monsters.
Yes. While pulling cards during exploration, if a monster is drawn, the player now has an opportunity to fight a Leviathan on the board. Let's see here. Certain lords and allies give benefit to killing those monsters, and the player with the most kills earns an extra 5 points at the end of the game. Conspiracy Abyss Universe is a card game in the Abyss universe, sharing similar gameplay, and of course the artwork. 2 to 4 players use Abyss-like cards to create a reverse pyramid, starting with a row of 5 cards and working down to 1. 2 matching keys or 3 total keys on cards allow the player to take location cards, which add abilities and points.
Interesting.
Pearls also have a role in the game as well, as the player with the majority of pearls on cards immediately takes the pearl majority card. So the game ends when a player has completed their pyramid. Groups of connected cards of the same color score points equal to the highest scoring card in the group.
Nice.
So, all right, it's like we have all this artwork floating around. Let's use it and put a card game out for it. So that's not bad. Capstone Games and Frosted Games announce exploration tile-laying Eurogame Cooper Island. I like that cover.
I know, it is really nice.
I like that cover. I like the aspect of it, and I like its color scheme. That's really
and the graphic
cool.
design.
Yeah. It's really good. So Frosted Games and Capstone is announcing Cooper Island, a new complex strategy game from the brilliant mind of Andreas Odenhall, who made La Granja. In Cooper Island, 2 to 4 players compete as explorers to colonize their island off the Atlantic Peninsula. Players have 2 ships and a worker and place landscape tiles over their island, gaining resources. Resources can be used to build structures with special abilities, and certain areas on the island are inaccessible and need to be cleared to gain access. So it is a complex set of mechanical interlocking gears melding together into a satisfying heavy Euro game. The point scoring and tracking is yet another unique element to this game. Each player marks their points by moving a small ship around the perimeter of their island. However, this ship can discover new lands, granting benefits to the player. After 5 rounds, the player with the most victory points is declared, well, the victor.
Sounds about right.
That's what it actually says. All right, so that's about it.
Here we go.
Usually we'd be going to our contributors, but we don't have those, as we already alluded. So we're going to go ahead right on into player stereotypes. And this one is the house ruler. The house ruler. Now this one has actually two aspects to it. We're going to actually talk about both of them.
Gotcha.
Because there are house rule people who love to house rule their games. Then there are also people who do not like house ruling their games.
Right.
I'm probably more in that camp than I am in the house ruling camp. But the reason that I don't, let's I guess explain what a house rule is. A house rule is very generally, you have a game and you see that one part or one thing in the game just doesn't seem to work right.
Right.
And it always kind of flubs up whenever you're playing the game in your group. And so you say, well, why don't we just house rule it, where we change the game
away from the designer's intent.
Away from the designer's intent. And that's problematic in a couple of different ways. Most of the time, not all the time, games go through a painstaking process of
play testing
and play it again and play it again and play it again. I can't tell you how many designers have said that we've played this game, that they have personally played it thousands of times.
You have to.
And so when you get it to your table and you play it and you're like, oh, that doesn't really work. Maybe not.
Sometimes people might be like,
you jump the gun, right?
Changing things up, and they don't really understand how exactly they're affecting the game.
Correct.
Like that classic house rule of Monopoly, like, oh, let's just put extra money on here. It's real cute. If you land on there and get real lucky, you can get all the stuff.
Right.
And it ruins the game.
It does, because it makes it go like hours longer than it really should.
And it's supposed to be a player elimination game.
Exactly.
But nobody's getting eliminated because people are getting too lucky.
Exactly. You keep landing on free parking. So those are the kinds of things. Now, there are some people that just love to do this. Well, I don't like playing it that way. I want to play it this way. Now, there are some games that benefit from house rules. And I get that. Sometimes a mistake was made on the designer's part. Or it was an oversight, or whatever it might be, something that slipped through playtesting. That's a possibility. I get that. So sometimes house rules are necessary. And sometimes house rules just, like one of the hard house rules that we play in Carcassonne is that you draw your tile at the end of your turn. Rather than at the beginning, so that you can spend everybody else's turn thinking about where you're going to be placing that on the map, and that actually speeds up the game. So there are some house rules that are good, but the house ruler is somebody who just really loves doing that. And will do it whenever they want, and they expect everybody to play it that way. An anti-house ruler is like, no, this should not be done at all, ever. And I'm kind of in
anti?
that camp. Yeah, because I don't want to fix a game.
Has there ever been a game that you have house ruled though, and like you're like,
oh, this Carcassonne thing?
Carcassonne?
But it's that kind of stuff. It's that kind of stuff that I'm okay with.
There's a couple games that I've done it with, like. I know Zaya, when they didn't have the expansion for it, and I know you're not the biggest fan of Zaya, but I really enjoyed it. But there was a thing where, like, sometimes just based off the way the tiles landed, you could have a planet that would produce a certain type of resource and a planet that would buy that resource right beside each other, and it would make it where the most advantageous thing to do in the game is to go back and forth in between those two planets for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
it's very cheesy.
Anti-thematic.
That's anti-thematic. So when we were playing the game, we just said, hey, you can do that once, but then you have to get a point from somewhere else before you can do that again. And we just house ruled it that way. Super simple, like, hey, you can't spam that thing.
Do you pull from a pool of planets when you place a new one down, or is it,
It's all shuffled together. They completely fixed it in the expansion, so obviously it was a problem with the game. They made it so that there's a resource board where, hey, if you buy stuff, you get the cubes off that board, but if it completely runs out, you suck them dry. The planet doesn't have any more resources to sell you. They end up fixing it in the expansion. But when we were playing with just that, I did that house rule, and it worked out fine while we played the game, but that's one thing that we kind of did. But that's not necessarily how the designer intended it.
Right.
But you could have that one guy that doesn't play in the spirit and is just like, I'm just going to spam this.
We don't have chat over here. I just realized that, so I can't see what you're saying.
They're agreeing for the most part with the Carcassonne house rule.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Either drawing at the end of your turn or the hand of 3.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've never played with the hand of 3 before, so.
Yeah, that would change up the game a lot.
Yeah.
Or decision.
It would also take away the possibility, because if you have that one spot on the board that only this tile it completely throws off any hope. If you don't get that tile in your hand of 3, and that's really going to be advantageous for you, it's not going to come out.
They're also saying, like in Zaya, which I've never played, so I don't know, but they roll 2 dice, pick the better roll for movement.
I feel like that's fixed once you go to the expansion, so because they have stuff that does like it's interesting. It's like these things.
That was one of the things that I hated about that.
Right. It's like the people that are like, okay, let's house rule these things. Then it's like the designers like look at that and they're like, okay, these are the problems with the actual game.
So you roll like a 10-sided die for movement?
You can roll all sorts of different ones depending on the engine you have. And sometimes you can roll the 10-sided die. You get to roll like 3 times during a game.
I just remember rolling the 10-sided die and it was like. Either really good
or really bad. Yeah, or you can get these mods that you place beside it now that like give you +2, but it can't go over the max. Like you roll a 10-sided die, no matter what you roll is +2, but if you roll a 10, it's still a 10. So.
Yeah, well that's cool. All right, well I guess that's that. I mean, there are people out there that just love house ruling their games, and there are people who do not. I think the main thing that we're trying to say here is don't make somebody play with a rule. House rule that I use all the time, and I actually
Fenrir and Blood Rage
do make them play. No. I give the suggestion. I'll put it that way, if it's possible. You're only supposed to use 2 of the gods.
Oh, gotcha.
In every game of Blood Rage.
Yeah,
all
for sure.
3 ages, and I'm like, we're gonna use 2 per age.
Do you think people are more like prone to house rule a game that they've played a ton of times?
Maybe.
And then they're like, this little tweak, like you said with the gods, it's like this little tweak isn't going to hurt the game, but it's going to add this variety in it that I kind of need at this point because I played this game a lot.
Those are the kinds of house rules that I don't mind.
Right.
Because they don't mess with the balance of the game.
Right. It's not going to mess up scoring.
They don't mess up scoring or anything like that. They don't mess up anything of the core mechanisms. It's just like a little piece of added flair. I don't mind those kinds of house rules. But it seems like sometimes people really go off the end of the, they take a long walk off a short pier, and, that's just not cool. But anyway, let us know in the comments if you're not watching live, and you've already let us know what you think if you are watching live. So, we're going to get on to a game.
Well, and contributors.
And contributors, that's right. I guess we'll do the contributors first.
Lights. Camera. Action.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
I'm May.
And this is Second Chance Kid Shelf. We're looking back at an older kid's game and seeing if it deserves a second chance off your shelf.
Today we're looking at Jenga.
All right, let's see how it plays. All right, most people play Jenga, but it's super simple. You use one hand, you pull out one of the pieces that might be loose. Find one, you take it out. Oh, maybe. All right, and then you put it on top. May's going to pull one out here. She puts it on top. You keep playing until somebody knocks it over. That player loses. And you could either say everybody else wins, or you could say that the last person who played wins. It's like a really pure dexterity game. All right, and you just keep playing like that. And then something, it falls over. Okay, that's a little bit about Jenga. May, what do you like about Jenga?
I like that we don't know if it's a fall or not.
Yeah, so there's like some tension there, not sure if it's gonna fall. So I like Jenga. I think dexterity is a really great kind of game for kids, because it kind of equalizes between kids and adults. Sometimes kids are better at it because they can use their little fingers to move something. Sometimes grown-ups are better at it because we can see which ones might be a little looser than others. Our copy of Jenga also, we have written letters on them. So with our kids, as we're playing the game, we might have them identify what the letters are. We like Jenga. We play it a lot as a family. Would you recommend it to other families, May?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Well, again, I'm Jordan.
I'm May.
And this is Second Chance Kid Shelf. Happy breakfast.
Hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
My name is Dave Luza.
I'm Ilka Luza and these are the
Essentials.
Our way of answering your questions about Essen Spiel.
Yes, and today we had a question about public transportation.
Yes. You can use an app that's for local trains, buses and trams, and it's called Zap.
By the Ruhrbahn, well, you can buy your tickets through that app as well as getting your information. You can buy a one-way trip, you can buy 10 trips, or you can just take a 7-day pass. That is all in that app.
How do you pay in that app?
Well, you use Amazon Pay, PayPal, or any of the other convenient ways of paying.
Really convenient. U11, that's the Underground 11, and it takes 6 minutes to get from Essen Central Station to the Messe.
And when you're at the Messe, you've got 3 entrances. You have your west entrance, which was the regular entrance, but only if you already have a ticket. If you don't have a ticket yet, you need to go to entrance south. Or there's a new entrance that is entrance east, which is all new, but it's kind of the back door of the Messe. It's a plus because it's right next to the Atlantic Hotel and might be easier to get in from there. But there are loads of booths to buy your ticket at the con right there. A 4-day ticket will give you a €13 discount instead of buying your ticket each day. Buying your ticket in advance will cost you €2 extra. Just saying.
Just saying.
You don't need to do it.
There's no way to avoid the crazy crowds. The crowds are really crazy, which leads us to our next question.
Yes. Would you bring a toddler to Essen Spiel?
Well, that depends on your personal taste. Would you bring a toddler to Gen Con?
Yeah.
There's loads of people, and it's certainly doable, but I don't know if I would really recommend it. There's loads of stuff to do. There's publishers like Haba who have stuff for smaller kids, but there's also the Galleria area that's in between halls, and there's food, there's bouncy castles, there's arts and crafts, and it's a way of escaping the crowds for a little while.
I feel like Thursday and Friday are less crowded than Saturdays. Sunday might be the best day to go.
Yes, Saturday's crazy. If you want to avoid the crowds altogether and want to get out of it for a little while, just go to the park surrounding the Messe, the Gruga Park, which is a great public park. You pay a small entrance fee, and then you can have loads of fun with your child there.
Yeah. So that's this week's Essentials. Keep bringing your questions to us and we'll try to answer them.
Yes, we're very happy to hear from you. I'm Ilka Luza.
My name is Dave Luza. Bye.
Okay, well, we are about to play. Well, of course, with Z not being here, we're not going to do 10 for 10. So, as some of you have already surmised, we are going to play a game that's been made up by Chris.
Oh, snap.
So here we go, Chris. Explain what we're about to do.
All right, so I can't wear the headphones while I do that. That's weird. Yeah, so I was trying to find another correlation thing like Blood Rage and TI and all that, but I was quickly running out of time and not coming up with anything good. So I just went completely random. We just had Dice Tower Con. Or a Dice Tower Retreat, rather. Yeah. And we have a growing, awesome collection of board games. So I was like, well, let me do something about records and collections. So this has nothing to do with board games whatsoever. This is just random stuff I found on Guinness's.
Weird stuff.
Yeah, weird records and collections. So basically this will work similar to all these games. You're going to be presented with 2 things. They may or may not be close in number. Again, I just kind of randomly did it. I tried to tie some stuff together. For instance, our first one's going to be fire and water. And so what you're going to do is you'll just on your pad just kind of shorthand which one you think it is, which number is bigger. So in this case, the number of people performing a full body burn stunt or the longest distance in meters swam in a single breath. You'll write down which one you think it is, water or fire.
Which one has the higher number?
Which one has the higher number? And then for a bonus half point, and hopefully I don't mess my math up so people in chat can help me track this, write the number, and I will arbitrarily decide if you're close or not. And so even if you get the answer wrong overall, if you're close on the number, you could still get a half a point. And by the end of this, the guy who's really weak at math is going to try to keep track. So. And when you're ready, let me know. And
I'm ready, man. I got my answer locked in.
Are you good?
Nice.
All right, so the correct answer is the longest distance in meters. He swam 200 meters in a single breath, whereas it was 32 people that did the full body burn stunt. So Sam is correct.
I did water too,
And
but I
Roy
wrote
is correct.
20, which is not even close.
Oh, are we supposed to write the number?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
But that's
I missed
fine.
that.
You both, did you?
He did.
I
he,
said
he
water.
wrote 20.
Oh, 20.
It's not even close.
20 meters is like a tenth of the way.
I thought it was gonna be like
The
a.
guy jumped in and went, ha, 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 ha.
Listen,
get out,
it
gotta
was
get
a
out.
kiddie pool.
All
Listen.
right, so 1-1 so far. All right,
Cool.
next one. Who has more? The largest collection of air sickness bags or the
Whoa.
largest collection of toilet seat covers?
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Well, I would imagine. I'm not gonna talk because I might help you.
I know, right? Which one's better here?
And both of these guys I was reading about, I believe the gentleman on the right died a few years ago. But both of these gentlemen have been
Yeah,
doing
he's
this.
around all that fecal matter. What do you expect?
These guys have been doing this for like years. Like they started it when they were in their 20s or something like that. And the dude on his right, I believe, was in his 90s when he passed. And the guy on the left, I think he's a Swedish fella who's still alive, but he's like in his 80s or something like that. Oh, and weird thing is I used Guinness for these, which you'd think would be all official, but Guinness is wrong about a lot of stuff. Like I was trying to do one with board games, and it's of the largest board game collection where a guy has individual games was 1,100.
Well, yeah.
And all
Well,
three
it's-
of us know
you
in
have
this
to
room
also get it
that
approved.
is-
We've actually looked at this
Right.
because of Jason. Because
Yes.
we've tried to get Jason to contact Guinness.
Yeah.
You have to first of all, I remember how
You have
much
to have
was.
it, like,
you have
list.
to pay them money.
Yeah.
To have them send somebody out, and then they have to verify it. You have to jump through all of these loopholes. So all of these different records that are kind of set online, they're not in Guinness Book of World Records because the people didn't
right.
jump through all their hoops.
Right.
Yeah, but I was
So-
like 1,100. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, like.
No, right.
Chris is like, I'll be there in a couple years.
Well, no, I'm like just under that now.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And
I know
we
Kenny has
know-
more than that, and
Yeah.
Jason has way more than that.
Yes,
So I was like,
and there are, and Jason knows people that dwarf his collection.
yeah.
Right.
So it's just because people aren't.
I
they
guess
don't-
if you have to pay for it, it's
yeah,
not really
they-
worth it.
yeah, right.
But,
Exactly.
All right. So, anyways, so who has more, air sick bags, or which is more, or collection of toilet seats? And if you remember the number, okay. So you're
Sickness
saying-
bag, 3 million.
Okay, so
$1
you are both correct about the air sick bags. He
They're
has
smaller. You can fit
6,200.
more in a house, right?
No, they're free.
Right. Also, they're free.
They're free. You go onto a plane and you can take it.
Is this like Price is Right though? If you're
And-
under? Oh, if you go
No,
over,
no, if
you
you
bust.
go over.
I
But
busted.
yeah, I'll give
The
Sam a half
closest?
point because that's pretty close.
What was
well, it's
it?
not necessarily the closest per se. it's just-
6,290.
Oh wow, yeah. that
Yeah,
was
so you're
pretty
only
close.
1,000 off. So yeah,
that's not bad.
Sam gets a as decided by our judges.
But yeah, this
Who's
dude
me.
has 1,350 toilet seat covers. now.
Yeah.
I know that guy. Man.
Why?
All right. Coming up next,
And
who
there.
has more? The largest collection of Star Wars memorabilia or the largest collection of Superman memorabilia?
Oh man. This feels like it'd be easier
Well,
to access.
If
There
we're
would
going
be,
by the picture,
right.
Go by the picture.
gee whiz.
Oh man, and this is individual items.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, it was just given little blurbs on the site too, not really much details. So I assume like
Individual pieces.
so I
huh?
assume like one costume is one piece. It's not the cape is individual. The
Yeah, of
belts
course.
and I think it's
One complete unit.
Right.
I'm gonna go with that.
Okay.
Ready? All right. So what'd you say?
Star Wars.
Okay, you are both correct about Star Wars, but you're way off with the number. He has almost
Oh
100,000
my
items.
goodness.
100,000.
93,260
What did
items.
you write? I was closer.
You were closer.
And this is another one where I have a feeling this Guinness thing isn't anywhere near because it says he only has 1,500 Superman items. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's got way more than that. But
Yeah.
we're going with Guinness
See,
here. 'Cause-
what I was thinking is, I know that Superman's been around longer.
Right.
But
you know,
there's
much
more
longer,
Star Wars stuff to
But
get.
Star Wars came out. It's more modern.
There's more
and
characters.
McDonald's.
Right, McDonald's.
yeah, there's that.
Came out in the toy craze in the late 70s into
Yes.
the early 80s. Yeah.
There's more of it around.
All right, so far we've got 3.5 to 3, so pretty close game. All right, next one.
That's right.
Which number is higher? Most spears caught underwater in a minute, or most human targets hit with plungers in a minute? So these poor people were just running around in a field while this guy chucked plungers at them.
There's got to be a video explaining that.
I think there were
How do you chuck
videos
a
of
plunger
these.
at somebody? Is it like axe throwing or?
I think I didn't have time to watch the video, but I think they were on there. I think these guys were just in a field and he was just chucking plungers.
Most spears caught underwater in a minute.
So they're shot underwater. He's
Wow, these
underwater
are both-
grabbing them.
Okay.
And somebody in chat brought up a good point with the collections. A lot of these guys have 2, 3, and 4 copies of the same thing. I think Saturday Night Live did a thing. One to take out of the box, one to play with, and one to display.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
All right. What
We're done.
did everyone say?
Go
All
with
the
plungers.
correct answer is plungers, and it was 15. So no
What?
half points there. But
15?
But you both get a
Oh,
point.
it's a minute.
I
Yeah,
guess you're right.
it's in a minute, yeah.
That's why I went with a lower number.
I could beat that. No, I'm just kidding.
You put 203?
I know.
Nice.
Listen.
He's like that
Good
guy in
night.
X-Men who can grow them out of his hand and just keep throwing them.
I'm very
Okay.
optimistic in plunger throwing. That's
I
all I
mean,
have to say.
50 would be still just over a second each.
Yeah,
Listen,
and he's also got to
he's
aim,
throwing
too.
all of them at the same time.
Because for it to count, they had to stick, I think, at least for a partial amount of time, so he had to aim, too.
Yeah.
All right, so next, which
That's
number
rough.
is higher? Most straws stuffed in
What
the mouth
in the
that
world?
I really misspelled there, and
well,
most
this-
hula hoops spun at one
Let
time.
me count this guy. 1, 2, 3. No, I was kidding. Most hula hoops spun at one time.
Oh man, this is so crazy. This is the actual picture, though.
No, that can't be.
Wait, so that's more than that already.
Did you mess up? Did you mess up, Chris?
Did you mess up, Chris? Let's see. How much is that?
And that's the other thing. Some of the pictures may have been from their act, but hers is obviously a pose. So who knows?
Yeah.
I want to do one like there was one with oldest and youngest, but the picture of the people kind of give that
Are
away.
you actually counting? Samuel.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to. I'm just taking a guess, but
It's like that thing with the jar and it's got all the candies or meeples or something, and then you got to count how many's in there.
I'm gonna do this
Okay.
because I think this is more malleable.
All right, so what everybody say?
I said straws.
Okay, it is indeed straws.
I said 150.
650.
That's a lot of
So-
straws.
That's a lot of straws.
We're gonna give Sam a half point there because he was pretty close, and so
I'm a
now
point
it's
behind.
6-5. All right, I only did 10
we
of these.
keep
so there's
picking the
not too
same
many
thing
left.
every time.
Well, it's kind of
Yeah.
obvious. Chris is dropping the ball here.
Okay, which number is higher? Amount of time balancing on 4 fingers, or most beer steins carried at one time?
Beer steins carried at one time.
Somebody's holding that dude's feet.
Okay. Right,
Out
there's
of
a
shot.
shadow. There's a shadow.
There's a rope around his legs
Now
up there.
I have a point of contention
Nah.
because are we talking about seconds or minutes as opposed to each beer stein is only one thing? So you might be able to carry a buttload of beer steins, but it's only one. But if you're counting seconds,
Oh, that's true. I guess I didn't put seconds or minutes. Like I said, I threw this together really quickly. I believe this is in minutes.
minutes.
Minutes for
Minutes
the
standing,
for the
balancing on just
balancing.
4 fingers.
And the beer steins, I believe, it's just individual steins. Like you can see there, he's got some stacked, so it's just amount he can hold and then
And carry.
a certain distance.
Now, I've seen that those are actually really cool cool competitions
Yeah.
to watch. Waitresses and bartenders and stuff like that. Those are very fun to watch for me.
This
at
is
least.
minutes on fingers.
I believe it's minutes.
Whoa.
I mean, eventually your fingers will break under pressure.
I mean, what if
The
you have
muscles
really
will give
strong
way.
fingers?
Well, understood. But what if you have really strong arms? That's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna
hard.
go with. And I'm gonna go with.
Okay.
All right. So what are the answers?
I have beer 23.
I have fingers 30.
Roy goes ahead. It was 26 with beer, so he gets the point and
Oh,
the half
yes!
point.
Ah.
23 was actually pretty close.
Yeah.
Only 19. I was gonna put 20. I was gonna put 20. I was
really?
almost, yeah, I was. I was gonna put 20.
Oh, I guess it was. I guess it was seconds.
Is it? Are you serious? That gets an asterisk. I
But
actually asked.
Yeah, but you said
know,
how many?
I
You
didn't-
said 30 minutes?
Right, but if he would have said
30
no, if he would have
minutes.
said seconds, that would have put my mind in a different time frame.
But
I'm
you
sorry. I
definitely
forgot to
wouldn't have
put it on
picked it
the one
then if you
slide.
thought he was
No,
doing.
I would have said 30 seconds, and I would have said definitely, because that seems more pliable to me.
Yeah, but you were still saying that this was more than this.
Correct.
So you'd still be right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was my fault. I had it on the
wrong.
one slide, but I forgot to change it on the other slide. But although 19 seconds does not seem like a long time.
No, it
It's on
doesn't.
fingers.
It
I was
is,
surprised
but
you
That's
thought
what I'm
somebody.
thinking. I mean, it's like
Right.
So you thought somebody could bounce on
thought it
4
was- it's a
fingers for
record.
30 minutes?
it's a record.
That
There
dude's
are
got
also
some.
people that can make their eyeballs pop out of their sockets and hang by the optical nerve and then pop them back in. Yeah, you
This
like
conversation
that, don't ya?
has gone the
Yeah,
wrong way.
I know your mind.
Sorry about
Okay.
that. I'll try to have more time next time. I promise. I'll do my due diligence. I'll
Okay,
research.
okay.
Which number is higher? Longest distance traveled with a pull cue on the chin, and this is distance in feet. And I double checked the next slide. It is feet. And most Texas-style consecutive rope swings. So I'm assuming that's the one where they like keep
Jump
going back
through,
and
yeah,
forth the loop. So longest distance in feet.
In feet.
Traveled with a pull cue bounced on the chin, just like the guy in the thing there. And most Texas-style consecutive rope skips. Yeehaw.
Oops. Arbitrary number.
Nice.
All right, so what do you think?
I go with rope 100. You went
Okay,
higher
you were
than me.
both correct with rope, but that dude did over 11,000.
What? In the...
See what I'm talking about? Some of this stuff is just outrageous.
That dude was there for a minute, skipping some rope.
In a minute?
No, I'm just saying he was there for a long time. The
Yeah.
minute was like
Why would you use the word minute to describe a long time?
the way I said it. Like he was there for a minute. Like, oh
All right,
goodness,
so
it was
which
a
number
long
is higher?
time.
Largest diameter in inches of a chewing gum bubble or M&M's eaten in 1 minute with chopsticks while blindfolded?
Oh.
Whoa, while blindfolded? Inches. Okay. Chopsticks. It's so crazy.
Diameter is
No,
point to
let's
point.
just do-
Right. Straight line, point to point.
ready.
Yes.
All right, so what'd you say?
Gum. 30 inches.
Woo! Surprise twist, it's a tie.
What?
You were spot on though, Sam.
Right on, baby! Woo!
So you said, I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said
Gum. Okay, so you get the
We're
point.
tied.
But yeah, Sam gets that coveted
No,
half
I'm not
point.
tied. He's still a point ahead because he got one where I got one wrong.
Well, if I'm mathing right, you are tied. But
Okay,
I'm-
we'll go with you. I don't care if you're wrong.
okay. Hopefully,
Yeah, I think
somebody
you've got enough half points that it made up for it.
Hopefully, somebody in chat is tracking this. If not, doesn't really matter.
This is really important. This
Yeah.
is really, really important.
This is
Surprise
crucial
twist.
information. Okay, so which number is higher? The heaviest carrot in pounds, or the most juice in liters extracted from grapes by treading in 2 minutes? That's the thing where they stand in a bushel of grapes and stomp it.
Yes, we know how wine is made, dude.
I think I Love Lucy did it. Well, neither of you drank. I didn't know if you knew.
I just remember the video of the lady stomping it and falling off the
yeah.
stage and being like, ow, 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 ow. It's a classic.
And so
Heaviest carrot
it's
and parrot.
so carrot in pounds, and it's most juice in liters by treading in 2 minutes time. So she was under a time frame.
Oh, in liters. So pounds and liters.
Yeah,
Ugh, that's rough.
because I was too late.
Cross-referencing
Because I was too lazy to
measurements.
look up.
I know you got to think
conversions.
about it.
I was too lazy to
No,
look
it's
up
still just a
conversions.
number. It doesn't matter what the measurement is.
It does, because
No, it doesn't. You're either talking about 2 liters or 2 pounds. It's just the number. Which number is bigger?
right. But anyway, never mind.
Is a liter a thimble? Is a liter a get what?
Okay, done.
Okay, so what'd you say?
Carrot 20.
All right, you are both correct, and Roy gets the half point for being close.
Oh,
So
22 pounds.
Roy's up to 10.
And a half. Or 10 altogether.
10 whole, and then you were at 9.5. So
I got a couple halves, I
Roy's
guess.
eked out that thing. All right, I think this might be the last.
I was going to be like, why did you waste our
one, maybe.
entire notepad?
Yeah. So which collection is larger? Largest jigsaw puzzle collection or largest video game collection? This is one I was going to try to use a board game thing, but
Is this individual pieces? Or?
no, it's actual puzzles.
Okay. Oh, man. I don't know. I feel... What's a good number?
2.
That dude's definitely sitting in a store. That is not his collection. I'm just kidding. It probably is.
That definitely looks like someone's collection. Stores don't look like that.
I'm going to go with what I think could be true. Because why would I go with something that I think isn't true?
Although it kind of made me wonder, it's like, is like this guy have some other job? He works at Arby's during the day, but he has all these games, or does he own a game store and count? Like Tom counts the Dice Tower collection as his collection, so it was like I was wondering something like that.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I mean,
There are people that do this, though.
Oh, sure. Okay, so what'd you say?
Games, 5,000.
puzzles, 20,000.
Holy smokes,
Well-
you think I was way over. It was way over.
It's games at 20,000.
So I get a half point.
No, that's not how that works.
That's not how that works. Yeah, this guy has 20,139 games. The jigsaw puzzles,
Wow.
1,000. I have a feeling that's a similar board
That is
game
not-
thing,
that's
though.
probably not true.
Yeah.
That's probably not true because
Does he have them all?
I've been to
Almost.
the when we were up at the gathering of friends, we went to a museum that's up there.
Yeah.
And they have thousands
Yeah.
of puzzles.
Right. And I'm
Thousands.
sure there's people like board game collectors that just have stacks of them.
Well, part of the reason why their collection is so large is because people bring their collections in.
Yeah.
You know, from like estate sales and that type of stuff. And so I know that maybe they don't count because they're a museum,
Yeah.
you know, a national museum or whatever, but I know they have
A ton in the same place.
very many
There you go.
puzzles.
All right, well, that's our game. We have Roy
Cool.
at 11
Roy is the victor.
and Sam at 9.5. So Roy's coming back with some wins.
Oh, snap.
All right, so you guys need to say anything, or you want me to go on?
No, I just be glad when Z gets back.
What are you trying to say? Contributors.
Hi folks, my name's Andy and welcome to Portable Gaming, the show about games which are fun to play in pubs and cafes. So at the moment I haven't got a game to show you because I want to talk about a game that I played recently at the UK Games Expo, and I don't own it and I'm not sure if I will, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, and that is Blood on the Clocktower. Now many of you have heard about this as the new kind of hotness social deduction game, and it's been categorised by some as kind of a fancy werewolf and some as something else, and it's hard to categorise. In fact, what I'd possibly say, it's the first ever lifestyle social deduction game. So we played this with some of the guys who were demoing it at the Games Expo at the hotel. We started with a small 5-player game for a few rounds and got about an 8-player game after that. And it was a blast. It was so much fun, kind of back and forth, and the dynamics and the special powers and the guessing and the depth was really interesting. It was really exciting. I would say it's possibly one of the best gaming experiences I think I've ever had. But I probably wouldn't buy the game. So the reason being, I feel like I mentioned it's a lifestyle game, and it really is. The game was really fun, and I feel part of that was because we played with 3 players who really knew the game inside out, and they made that experience so wonderful. The rest of us had a great time and got up to speed pretty quick, but we would have been much better if we'd known the game, we knew the rules, we knew all the kind of tricks and the ways people should be thinking about stuff. It's one of the few games where I think knowing the meta game makes it more interesting, knowing your opponents makes it more interesting. If you start learning your opponent's tells, it makes it a much more interesting game because then you know they're learning those tweaks and they've got to learn new ones, screw with you in those ways. And it was fantastic, but it's not the kind of game you can just have on the shelf, take down, play around, put it away. You need to kind of get used to that. In fact, I'd only really consider buying it if I was to buy it and play it here at the pub and like have a regular game with about 12 people and play that once a month, maybe once a week. And if you can do that, I highly recommend it, but I think it's definitely a game you should all give a chance to play it. You should. So that is Blood on the Clocktower. No game to show you, just that's me and that's you getting in the round in.
Hello, and welcome back to Retro Board Game Corner. Here I have Tarzan to the Rescue, published in 1977 by Milton Bradley. This is a 2 to 4 player game in which you're seeking out a secret temple with the help of Tarzan. Let me set this up and show you how it works.
You called?
This is what the game board would look like set up. Everybody's going to pick a different colored pawn and start it over here. On every turn, you'll roll 2 6-sided dice, and you'll choose one of the dice to move your pawn along the path. You can make 1 lane change per turn. On subsequent turns, when everybody's pawn is on the board and you roll the 6-sided dice, you're going to choose one of the dice to move your own pawn, and then the other dice will be to move an opposing player's pawn. Now what you're trying to do is get your opposing players to these red danger zones here. When you come to a red danger zone or moved by another player, you have to stop there and call Tarzan for help by using this spinner. You'll open up the window, spin the spinner, and if you close it, and if you see any picture here, Tarzan is there to help, and you can continue your movement. If you don't see a picture of Tarzan, you have to stay there at that spot and wait till your next turn to call for help again. Now you're trying to make it all the way here around the board to the Golden Temple. First person there wins the game. Yet another very simple roll and move with the added mechanic of the spinner to see if Tarzan's going to help you or not. Well, that's all the time I have for now. If you have a comment below, or you can tweet them to me at RetroBoardGamer. And as always, may your rolls be high.
All right.
Right, we got a surprise boxing of a box that's already been opened.
So Tom,
but not by us,
said that we were going to do this box for surprise unboxing. If it's not good, we know who to blame. So here's a box.
I'm trying to get this out of the way. And we're going to open it.
You're gonna
See,
crack
look,
it.
I'm going to... There, I cut the plastic open.
It's a surprise to us. It might not be opened all the way.
It's not opened all the way.
Maybe he started to open it and he's like, oh yeah, I need something for the surprise
is.
unboxing.
Oh. It's a box within a box.
Go ahead. Take care of that.
Where's it from? Oh, that's Chinese writing on it.
Oh, let's see what we got. What is it? Is it good?
I don't know.
More packaging! Yes!
Borderlines. It's from Hong Kong. And
oh, wow. That
Borderlines. Yeah, it doesn't look very exciting. It says, this game cannot portray the tragic stories of suffering, but it makes you think seriously about the plight of refugees. An innovative way to put yourself in the shoes of a refugee. Perilous escape. So Borderlines, Perilous Escape. Let's go ahead and get this open here. And, oops. Well, there you have it.
you get hung up on.
Whoa. There's the rule. Oh, it feels weird. Feel that.
Oh, yeah, it does.
And it smells weird, too.
That's part of the ambiance of the game.
So you have an event summary, like final victory points, and a black market thing. Human trafficking.
Oh, goodness.
Bunch of cubes.
I mean, that looks
money,
nice.
Stuff like that. Cards.
Pretty standard.
There's a die in there. Start player card. Is that paper money?
Ooh, is
Check
this
if
paper
that-
money?
check.
Ooh, paper money.
Oh.
Listen, not only paper, but also single-sided. Well, no, it's not single-sided. Oh, yeah, single-sided paper money.
Here's the
One
board.
side money, one side blank.
White. So here's the board. I wonder how much research went into this. Like if these are
I feel like
actual shipping lanes and stuff like that.
This is
of
probably
people who
more
do
of
this
like
type of
a,
stuff.
more of like a educational, like what's going on with refugees sort of game.
Well, it's definitely built that way on the outside, right?
Right.
An innovative way to put yourself in the shoes of the refugees. So you are kind of wanting to educate people on what refugees actually go through.
And war zones and things like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
it almost feels like I'm sure it's not nearly as complex or as story driven as like This War of Mine, but has that sort of like
vibe to it. Yeah, maybe. The game finishes after 6 rounds. 1 victory point for each person alive. 1 victory point and $20 bonus for each person in Western Europe. 1 victory point for each house kept. Minus 1 victory point for each person dead. The player with the most victory points wins.
Gotcha.
And then it has places for you to go and support Syrian refugees and find out more about them and stuff like that. All right, well, I'd play it.
That's kind of interesting.
So that we can, kind of see where it's going. But that is our surprise boxing. Borderlines.
Borderlines. On to more contributors.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Aaron from the Board Game Brothers, and welcome back to another episode of Mystery Component Monday, a segment where I show you a picture of a game piece. It's up to you to try to guess what game that piece comes from. So, put on your thinking caps, because here is this week's picture. Okay, time's up, pencils down, and thinking caps off. And the answer to this week's question is Clank. Clank is a deck-building, dungeon-diving, press-your-luck adventure game. Players take on the role of thieves trying to sneak their way deep into the dragon's den, attempting to loot any treasures and valuables they can get their hands on. But stealing so much treasure does have its risks, for the longer you take stumbling around the dungeon, the more noise you make that could potentially awake the dragon, who will surely be furious and looking to fill his belly with anybody he can get his fangs on. Players who successfully escape the clutches of the dragon and make it out of the dungeon in one piece can count all of their loot, and the player with the most points wins the game. Clank is a fun deck-building game that incorporates meeples and a game board to successfully bring to life an exciting game of stealing treasure, fighting monsters, and betraying your fellow thieves, all while you avoid getting caught and eaten by a vicious dragon. And that's this week's game. Congratulations to everybody who got it right, and for everybody else, there's always next week. But until then, I hope you all have a happy breakfast.
Hi everybody, I'm Doug Jr. from Doug and Doug Gaming, and this is yet another episode of A Fellowship of Meeples. Well, this week at game night, we played a game that I picked up used. It's called Archaeology: The Next Expedition. This is a card game, and in this game, you're simply going to be trying to collect sets of archaeological finds. The more you get in your set, the more that set is worth when you sell it to the museum. The game plays so simply. You just draw a card from the stack of treasure cards, then you can visit the marketplace and make as many exchanges as you want to. You can visit the monument if you have a map card, or you can sell items to the museum. There are a couple of cards that can pop up from time to time, making your going a little bit tougher. For instance, the Thief card will let you take a card at random from somebody else's hand, and the Sandstorm will cause everybody to have to throw in half of their cards from their hand to the market, unless, of course, you have your tent still available. One of the things that I think really makes this game unique is the use of monuments, which are different archaeological sites. You'll pick one of these at random. It will be used for the entire game. For instance, the tomb might be chosen. If you have this one, then whenever you have a map, you can visit the tomb. During your visit, you'll find two chambers. One will have 7 cards and one will have 8. And you can spend a map to look at all the cards in one chamber and keep 2 of those cards. Each monument is different and has different effects. You can look these up online if you're interested, but it does give you a lot of nice variety in this game. When the stack of treasure cards is gone, then the game is over. Everyone totals up their score. The highest score wins. It's that simple, but it's a lot of fun. I think Archaeology: The New Expedition just goes to show that you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a great game.
Happy breakfast, everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about Zombicide, not the medieval green horde lot you see here, but Invader, the new one from Simon, Come On, Call Me or Not, whatever they want to be. Now, there's a few rules that I think do change the way this one plays quite a bit compared to the previous versions. Now, first of all, guns. Not all of the variety of guns work outside as well as in. Now, that means you're going to want to search more, you're going to want to get some good ones that work inside and out, so you've got a variety, and generally they seem to pack quite a lot of a punch, and that is because of focus fire. Now that's a rule that I'll probably home rule into some of the older ones as well, which means if you've got a weapon, say it rolls 3 dice but only does 1 damage, now in the old ones that would be useless against anything with 2 or 3 health. But now you can say, no, I'm firing all my bullets using this sledgehammer solely on this one thing, and put all your eggs in one basket. It means that a standard cattle prod can take down an abomination. But it's not exactly easy. You've got to roll really well on those dice, and I've pulled that off with the dual SMGs. I've taken down an abomination. I rolled 4 6s, which is unheard of, and it was an amazing moment. It's much more of the sort of game that I want from that. I want it to be light-hearted and pew-pewing zombies. And that's what it is. Anyway, that's Zombicide Invader, and I'm Oliver East, signing out.
Hey, he pointed at us a couple seconds late, but that's all right, because we're gone. We out. So that was Board Game Breakfast Live. Probably not exactly what you were expecting, because quite frankly, we don't care.
It was a blast.
It was
amazing.
Fun. We had a great time, and I'm going to turn this off now so it stops making noises. Just in time for us to close out the feed. So thanks for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. Tom and Zee will be back on Tuesday next week, but we won't actually be here in the studio until Wednesday morning. So we're going to be doing testing Tuesday. Right. Just the 2 of us. Maybe we'll have Chris on if he, cleans his act up a little bit.
He's going to have to work on something.
He's not going to. He's shaking his head no. Maybe we'll have Kenny on. Who knows?
I'll be doing a Q&A on Monday.
Yes.
And we have lots of reviews going up for the rest of the week. So.
We certainly do. So there is that. I don't think we have anything else live stream. Don't you love it when your throat just kind of clunches up on you.
I mean, I don't love it, but it happens.
It happens. It does. Anyway, we don't have anything else live this week. We'll see you next week, which is on the flip side of the weekend. So we'll see you there. I'm Sam Healy.
I'm Roy Canning.
Take it easy.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at coolstuffinc.com.